Hey, so this happens a lot when I get a bunch of replays all at once, is that you end up having the same problem in all of them, or like all of your TVPs are the same problem, or all of your TVZs are the same problem, and then I end up looking at like 12 replays, but really looking at 3 of them would have been exactly as helpful as looking at 12 of them. So it's good to try to filter which replays you send to me, because otherwise, you know, everything starts to blend together, and you're not really gaining helpful advice from the other replays, because I'm just restating what I just said in the game before this. So try to only send me games where you have 24 workers at 6 minutes and you hit whatever 10-minute benchmark you're going for. Every one of your builds should have a 10-minute benchmark, and if you ever play a game where you didn't hit it and then you lose, no duh. Of course you lost. You didn't hit the benchmark. So we already talked about this in the other 2 TVZs that I watched earlier, is that this build, any build you do has to be ready for a 6-minute 7 roach rush, and this build is not. If he'd hit you at 6 minutes with 7 roaches, you didn't even have a completed bunker, and you only have 5 marines, you'd just be dead. So even though the build, you're doing this SC2 builds thing, where on paper the build has enough to resist a roach rush at that time, but in the real game it doesn't. So you really need to test builds against nobody before you bring them to the ladder, because if the build on paper is good enough, in reality isn't good enough, you can't do it that way. So let's look at 6 minutes. 24 workers, baby. 24. Oh, you actually did it. You actually did it. Okay, you're 1 worker short, but that is better than every single other game I've watched of yours so far. So congratulations on only being 1 worker short. Good work. Now you're starting a wall in. Again, these buildings should be in the wall in, because they have a lot of hit points, and they're not using those hit points over here. Just kind of wasting stuff. You supply blocks there. So this build, at 10 minutes you're supposed to have 30 marines and 5 marauders and 2 medevacs and 2 started, I think, and it's like a $2,600 army. And I'm betting that I've never seen a game of you doing the build perfectly and having a $2,600 army. So I think you're supposed to have 48 workers. And look at this, $1,500 army. This is not 30 marines, this is 20. This is not 2 medevacs, this is 0. You don't even have a starport started, let alone, yeah. So again, in theory this is a good build, but in practice you're not doing it. You're not making the units that you're supposed to be making. So again, like, how helpful is it for me to say you just didn't do what you set out to do? So obviously it's not going to work. I don't think you need me to tell you this. If you watch your own replays and you look at 10 minutes, did I have 44 workers? Yes. Did I have a $2,600 army with 2 started and 2 medevacs and stim and combat shields? No. Not even really that close. Okay. So this isn't a game worth sending. You know, I didn't do what I meant to do. So let's find out anyway what happens next, even though this is already an invalid game. Game, you are invalid. Game, you are invalid. Hello, game. How's it going? You are invalid. So I think this is 2-2. Yeah, 2-2 starting at 12 minutes instead of 9. The whole point of the quick 2-2 is to give you a small window of time when you're 2-2 and he's not, and you can kill him, right? Do crippling, game-ending damage. So if you delay it, it's not like with medevacs, right? If you want 8 medevacs and you accidentally delay your starport by 2 minutes, you'll still eventually get 8 medevacs, and those 8 medevacs will still eventually be a good part of your endgame army. But upgrades aren't the same way, man. You're going for an upgrade advantage. If you wait long enough, he's going to have 3-3 as well, and then you're just, you know, crazy talk. Here he comes with mutas. You lost a crap ton of stuff. A fully loaded medevac worth $750. As soon as you've seen more than 7 mutas, and this is a lot more than 7, this is a crap ton, it's okay to just throw turrets everywhere. because mutas are terrible at fighting. They're only good at pinning you in your base. So if you throw down enough turrets, they can't pin you in your base, and they're not good at anything anymore, right? If mutas are good for one thing, and you can take that thing away for 800 bucks, that's so cool. There's nothing else that you can do that with. I mean, I suppose if he's going like upgraded Mass Ling and for 800 bucks you get a Colossus, then that sort of is similar, you know. Just completely counter his build. Anyway, 15 minutes in, you've only got 64 workers and you don't have a third on the way or in place. It looks like you're kind of going 2 base all in. And you've done it pretty well, right? 7,000, that's not bad. 6,600 with 2-2. This is 2-2 and a lot of turrets. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So you actually have 9,000? Yeah, 9,000 at 15 minutes. This is great. Good job. So, now you're going to take your $9,000 army at 15 minutes and you're going to go crush him. And I guarantee that if your $9,000 army was spread out in like a good carpet bomb spread across here, he will be dead, right? 2-2. As soon as 2-2 finishes, with 6 medevacs, tons of marines, tons of marauders, hellions, spread out in such a way that Baneling splash is negated completely, with a tank. I feel like at this point, if your army was in his base, you do win. So what I want to see happen is for you to lower all these depots, empty that racks, grab your whole army in a big pile, and A-move it here, then grab half of it and A-move it here. Then grab the first half and A-move it here, and then grab the second half and A-move it here. Then grab the first half and A-move it up here, and second half and A-move it up here. As soon as you get halfway across the field, you're going to notice that he has the gold, immediately knock it down, and then once you've seen, like him, once you've seen creep, you want to start spreading your troops out across the creep so that you have like a little clump of marines here, 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 a clump of marauders here, a tank in the middle, all that kind of stuff, medevacs in front, and then just take about 12 of those units and kill the gold hatchery. At that point, he's going to attack into you with his whole army, and you're going to say, I'm at basically 200 unit space of 2-2 infantry with 6 medevacs floating overhead. I win. And he'll run in with this tiny crappy army, suicide all his mutas, suicide his army, and you win. So this game, theoretically, if it played out like that, you win it right now. Like, look how much bigger your army is than his, and it's 2-2. You just, like, you can't be stopped at this point. But that's not what actually happened. Instead, for the last 2 full minutes, you didn't make a single unit. So your army is now exactly the same size at 17 minutes as it was at 15 minutes. So you gave him 2 minutes to catch up, basically. And now it looks like you're leaving. Let's see. Where's the other medevacs? Here we go. So you're going to split your army up. I've said so many times, don't do this. With your first fight, you want that fight to be so overwhelming that he suicides his army and loses his whole army. You don't want to split it up. After that big first engagement, that's when every single engagement you want to be trying to split it up into 3 locations at once. So this is about a 2/3 of your army, and by itself it's ripping to shreds his entire army. This 2/3 of your army is as strong as his entire army. But this other 2/3 of your army, you're just kind of suiciding it, right? These marines over here, they're going to be traded for drones. This 2 medevacs were traded for nothing. And 3 full medevacs over here, are they going to be traded for anything? So look how well this went with the 2-2 push. Again, if your whole army had been there, bam, wipes them out. And the cool thing about that too is if you push to here with your whole army, then you're right on the ledge, and you can put a bunch of marines here, and then do a carpet bomb up to his main, and then pick up the guys from the low ground and carpet bomb in front of the first carpet bomb, and now his whole main is dead. I'm getting the impression you're gonna win this game because you've killed everything he has at his third and everything he has at his main. If this hatchery goes down and this hatchery goes down, you'll be okay. But you're not reinforcing. I feel like the total amount of money you've spent on your army from the 15-minute mark to now is got to be like almost nothing. So let's do the math, bro. Let's do the math. It's funny, it's like you have two modes. You have macro mode and you have fight mode. And you're doing great in macro mode. You spend $9,600 by 15 minutes, and that's amazing. That's awesome. It's huge. It's great. And then you go into fight mode. So for the next 2 minutes with your... Oh, and you're not dropping mules. And you've got basically $2,200 of income. But with mules, you would have $2,600, but you're not dropping them. So let's say that in an ideal world, if you were still in macro mode, you'd be spending $2,500 a minute for the next 2 minutes. So let's look. 2 minutes has gone by. You've done lots of fighting, lots of cool dropping. All right. This used to say 66. Now it says 81. So 8100 minus 6600 divided by 2. You spent $750 a minute for those 2 minutes. $750 a minute. Your income is $2,400 divided by 2400. You spent 31% of your income. 31%. It's crazy. So your build had a lot of holes in it. If he'd attacked you at 6 minutes, he would have won. If he'd attacked you at 10 minutes, he would have won. But then the big, strong moment that your whole build is geared toward, a big, strong 15-minute push, which is where I used to win all of my TVZs back when I used to Uber Ups. 2-2 is just finished. Your army is just at like 170 unit space. You've got stim combat shields. You pre-spread your dudes all around. You kick a lot of butt. You won that fight. Even though you made a lot of mistakes, you split it into 3 parts and let him kill each part individually. You still won that fight. That was great. This is like proof that the build you went is great, and you did a good job with it. But now, where'd those 3 medevacs go? Did they all die too? Yeah, they all died too. But you just kind of didn't build anything after that. There's no follow-up. You didn't land your 3rd during the fight, and you're trying to take this 3rd. That's like a mile away from your main. Look, your units come out of your base here, and you're taking a base here. Like, there's a base right there. There's another base right there. This base so far away. So you're basically never able to secure a 3rd, and your main dries up, and then you lose. So this was a clear win as far as macro, and a clear loss as far as macro while fighting, and your decision of where to fight and where to take your 3rd. And that's the end of that. Dun, 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 dun. Do, 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 do. So here we go with the Doom drop. So you killed this base and this base, and he left even though his army is still bigger than yours. Because you have 2-2 upgrades, and you're like, awesome. So good job. I'd still give you failing marks on taking that 3rd, keeping your army together during the first push, spreading your units during battle. You're just really lucky he didn't get any area of effect units whatsoever. You're also quite lucky that he went mutas, because Uber Ups is the counter to mutas. You're like hoping he makes mutas, and often if he doesn't make mutas, it becomes really hard to do anything successful. So framework, like skeleton crew, you did a lot of things right, but a lot of things wrong too. The big problem was spending from when you decided to look away from your base until when you got back, because you didn't drop a single mule from 15 minutes on, and that eats into your income by $320 a minute. That's a lot. And you didn't like make units during the push. And also, one of the things that is really important about this 2-2 timing attack is at 12 minutes. So if we look at 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Come on, 12 minutes. 12 minutes. There's gotta be quicker ways to get around freaking replays. Boom. So if we look at 12 minutes, you've spent all your money. I mean, you haven't spent all your gas. You honestly might have even taken too much gas, because there's no real way to spend all of it, I guess. The build is 2 starport because you get so much gas that you can't really spend it without a 2nd starport. Starting 2-2 will help you to eat into this gas. Starting this +1 vehicle attack will help you eat into the gas. Getting blue flame is going to help you eat into the gas. But you're spending all your minerals really easily. You're keeping your money down. You're getting tons of workers. You're spending all your minerals. You have no minerals. You have a gas problem. And this is why we emphasize gas, is because since you're going basically marine, it's easy to spend your minerals. It's hard to spend your gas. But anyway, as soon as you stop needing to make depots and workers, you're going to have the money, the minerals, to make Marines like 14 at a time, but you're only going to have the production capacity to be able to make six Marines at a time. So we're going to watch from 15 minutes on. Like, so at 12 minutes, you're supposed to throw down, what is it? You're supposed to transition from basically 6 Marines at a time to 14. And even though at 12 minutes you don't really have a lot of money, you're doing it because at 15 minutes you do. And you don't want to wait until 15 minutes to throw down more racks. So anyway, I feel like you just had a reasonable saturation balance between your two bases and then took a bunch of guys out of your main and threw them down to your natural. But whatever. No big deal. Anyway, so what I'm talking about is from like here on, your minerals are kind of piling up and you can't spend them. Can't spend all my minerals. I can only make like 6 Marines at a time, and I would like to make a lot more than 6, but I can't because I can't spend my minerals because I didn't throw down more racks and I didn't have a second starport and so on and so forth. So we talked about this a bunch of times, and it's funny when I casted Tyrion's game, you were like, I wish I had that problem of making too many production facilities, ha ha ha. But that's not a joke. It's true. You do wish you had that problem. You should have made a heck of a lot more production facilities. You have all this money you can't spend specifically because of that. And you're only eventually going to spend that money because you run out of money. Your main runs dry, your income changes from 2,400 down to 1,300, half, basically exactly half. And you're finally able to catch up on your spending because you have no base. But that's not good. You don't want to catch up on your spending only when you have no base anymore. That's crazy. So anyway, well fought, well played, well won, but next time take the base that's right next to your main and do it while you're doing your first push. And your first push, keep your whole army in a big pile, and you're at 12 or 13 minutes. Throw down 4 more racks and swap all of the tech lab racks you have onto reactors, or don't. Up to you. If you like Marauders, then don't. But the Uber Ups build is really meant to be pure Marine. Marauders don't grow hugely well into that build until about 14 or 15 minutes when you start to be scared of ultras. Against roaches, it's fine to make almost exclusively Marauders, so I was okay with the Marauders in that specific game, but if he's going Ling Muta, you want pure Marine. I like at least like a 4-to-1 ratio of Marines to Marauders.